Welcome, viewers, back to Five Friday Feedback. Today, we're going to be going over the 9-step financial order of operations brought to you by the Money Guys, presented to you by us, the Fi Guys. Today, we're going to be talking all about that, what we discussed, what we liked about their method, what we don't like about their method. And please remember, if you listen to Monday's pod, the 9-step financial order of operations by the Money Guys is a financial plan that might work for you, but it is not the financial plan that will always work for you. You're an individual. Whenever we try to make any specific recommendations, it never really works because no one's a specific person. We're all a little bit different.
That's the uniqueness of humanity, and we love that. Thanks for being here, and let's get right into it. So we've got a little 9-step plan we're talking about today, a little recap on Monday's pod. Before we get into it, do you have a favorite step?
Ooh, a favorite step? I really like that they said probably to get rid of the high interest debt. I'm glad that they put that down there somewhere, because I think a lot of people, they focus so much on, oh, you need to save for retirement, you need to save your money, you need to save your money. But I always tell people, like, if you have high interest credit card debt, that is a hair on fire situation. If my hair is on fire, I'm not thinking about, oh, wait, where are my keys at? I have to do this stuff tomorrow. Tomorrow I have to go and like deposit a check at the bank. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about my hair's on freaking fire, and I need to figure this out. And that's the same way I think about high interest credit card debt is. And I would equate it as to, I'm gonna go and run a marathon. If I have a leech on my back and it's like this giant, like crazy, like, you know, blood sucking
Slime
Rick and
monster.
Morty type of leech, you know, that's like taking away my life force. Like, I'm not gonna run that marathon until I deal with the leech first. Same thing, financial independence. This is a long journey. And if I have that leech on my back, it eventually is going to kill me, probably long before I make it to the end of the journey.
Yeah, that was my favorite one too. I was like, is he going to say 3? He's going to say high interest debt? I'm like, he said it. I'm like, oh man, we're on the same page. Well, we
Best
spoiled
friends.
number 3. We spoiled number 3. Now you know. It's number 3.
So what did you think about the 9-step? I know that, I mean, I think it's always good to show different financial advisors, because every advisor has something different and what they focus on and where they're at. And I like looking at different advisors and what they're doing in their practice, what's working well, and what can I steal from them, or I like to call it cloning, but what can I clone from them and bring into my practice? Because I'm not here to try to reinvent the wheel. I'd much rather surround myself with people that know what they're doing, learn from as many people as I possibly can, and incorporate it into my business in order to help people reach their financial independence goals, whatever that might be.
No, I love it. I love it. A plan that's simple, straightforward, and right to the point. I mean, you just can't go wrong with that, you know? That is just, I love it. I love it. When a plan gets too complex, oh, dude, it's a recipe for disaster, at least in my world. Simplicity is the name of the game in my world. So yeah, 9 steps, that's a good round number. I like that. 9, almost 10, almost round, but it's perfect for me.
Yeah, I like this. I like theirs a lot more than I like Dave Ramsey's. I think he has his 7 baby steps or 6 baby steps. His basically go up to, and then you invest and you're financially independent. And like this, like, so a lot of people, they have trouble saving their money. But there are some people who are hyper accumulators who are just like, they're really good at saving money. But then what they end up doing with that money is they end up just putting it into a bank account. So like, Chris, I'm going to work. I know how much money I make. I know how much money I spend, and I'm spending less than I'm making. So I'm doing really good. What now? Yeah. And I like these 9 steps because it really tells you exactly where to put it. And if you're not at step 3, it's okay. Do step 2. And then it kind of tells you exactly what to do. And then once you reach a step, you just move on to the next one till you reach 9. And at level 9, we have no more debt. We have a bunch of assets, ideally. And we just get to live our life to the best of our ability, right?
Dude, yeah. I mean, that's what life's all about, right? Living your life to the best of your ability. I mean, before the podcast, Chris and I were talking about, you know, when people ask, like, what do you do all day? Your response is like, well, I'm a finance guy. I teach jujitsu. I go to the gym. I do cold plunging. I listen to podcasts. I was like, dude, that's an awesome life. That's pretty sweet.
It's weird.
Dude, who cares? Honestly, who cares? We love it.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay.
So what did you think about step number 1, that we want to make sure that we have our deductibles covered?
Yeah, that one kind of surprised me. Personally, when I was thinking of like the first like 9 steps, right, to become, you know, financially free or just in a good place. My first step is always like how much you earn, how much you spend, right? Um, and I know we battled a little bit on this on the podcast. I felt like I don't know. I thought it was interesting because it threw everything off for me because I'm like, oh, okay, so we have to like first know what we make, what we earn. And I was like, no, Dom, it's like let's just we can't even cover if I break my leg tomorrow and I have to go to the or if I sprain my ankle, right? And I have to go to the ER or the what's
ER.
the yeah, okay. It's like I can't even cover that. So it's like we got to save enough money to cover the deductibles. Like
Yeah.
a crisis fund. You need a crisis fund because
Yeah.
we're already in crisis. You don't have a
Yeah.
crisis fund.
At that point, like you break your ankle, you're not going to be like, oh, damn it, how much money do I make and how much money do I spend? That doesn't matter. It's like, I need to cover the freaking deductible. Like,
Yeah.
I need to get fixed,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Yeah, my ankle's in pain and I need the drugs. I need to fix that thing up real quick. So yeah, no, the number one, it caught me by surprise a little bit, but, um, no, I didn't disagree with it. I think it's actually spot on. The more time I actually give thought to it, um, yeah, you gotta have at least 500 to 1,000 for that crisis fund. Because like we talk about on the pod, it feels like almost once a week, right? Most Americans can't cover 400, $500 surprise bill, right? That's a big hit for most of America, especially with all the finance stuff that's happened in the last year, 2 years, 3 years with inflation and all that fun stuff. Um,
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? Because for me, my first step was always you need to have a crisis fund. And the crisis fund was different from the emergency fund. In my crisis fund, I always said was $1,000 in straight cash. The reason it was $1,000 in cash is because for me, $1,000 should be enough to get you out of most financial jams. There
mhm.
aren't many people that I've seen who have over $1,000 deductibles on things. But unfortunately, as time is going on, cars are becoming more expensive, houses are becoming more expensive. One of the ways that insurance companies are able to lower your premiums is by raising your deductible. So I have beginning to start to see $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 deductibles. So by my telling people, oh, only save $1,000 in your crisis fund, that wasn't going to cover their $2,000, $3,000 emergency if they had a car crash or something like that. So what I really like about it being the deductible is that's going to be more customized to everyone. Where $1,000 for me was enough, but $1,000 isn't really going to cover everybody. It's going to only cover most people. But this deductible kind of covers a wider swath of people.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that. What do you think of? Do you want to skip around a little bit, or do you mind if I
No,
skip
go
around?
go go
All
where
right.
you want.
What do you? How do you feel about number 9, the low interest debt?
Okay,
Do
we're
you
just gonna
think that
move
needed to
from.
be in there?
I'm trying to think like what else would be there if there wasn't. Maybe you could just make it a 9 step program. But at the end of the day, I think you can make a choice to either have zero debt or you can choose to keep debt if you view it as like as a strategy. Say you have a mortgage with 3% interest rate on it or something like that. And you're like, Chris, it doesn't make sense for me to pay off this interest because I could put my money into a high yield savings account at like Wealthfront or wherever, and right now I'm making 4%. Like I'm making 1% guaranteed on my money. Things might change in the future, but at that point I can deal with it.
Hmm.
So it's really going to depend on where you are. Maybe if you're someone like me, I grew up without a lot of financial means and I still have a very scarcity mindset in my life of like things get taken from me at any time. For me, debt does not feel good. I would much rather have it gone and not think about it. So there are times where I'll do things that are unoptimal from a financial planning standpoint, but it's optimal for me and my lifestyle.
Hmm.
And then there are other people who are totally fine. They're like, oh, don't worry about it. I can always earn more money. 6% interest, who gives a crap? I'll just pay it off.
Yeah.
And someone like that, they have a higher risk tolerance. I think it's also really important to figure out like where you are on the life perspective. How old are you? So if I'm 20 years old and I'm looking at an interest rate of like 5%, I know over time if I have a rate of return of 9, 10%, and I'm doubling that, we just do it by the rule of 72.
Hmm.
72 divided by 5 is, oh goodness gracious, 15.
Don't do this to him.
I know,
70,
right?
72 divided by 5, 14.4.
Oh, cool. I said 15. Okay, good.
Okay.
So 14.4 years, that means that if I keep that low interest rate, every 14 years, my other money that I'm investing should double.
Hmm.
So that's if I'm 20 years old, that makes sense. But say I'm 60 years old. Now I'm 60 years old. It's a lot different, right? My money is only going to double maybe one more time in my lifetime if I'm willing to take the same level of risk tolerance.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, when they're working, the market's going to go up and down and it's totally fine. Like, if it's down and I'm working, it's like, whatever. I'm just going to keep on buying at a dollar cost average if they've gotten to that point in their life, knowing that they still have money coming in. But from someone who works with retired clients, the moment they pull that trigger and they retire and a dip happens, there is like complete and utter fear of what if it keeps on going down, because now that investment account is kind of my lifeblood. And if that goes away, I am donezo. So for people who are retired, if they know like it's okay, even if all my accounts go to zero, I still own all my assets. I have zero debt. No one can take anything away from me, given that I can continue to pay for like my taxes and whatnot, then I'm good to go. And it allows you to sleep well at night. That's all well and good. For my retired clients, the system that I use for them, I call the SWAN system, and SWAN stands for sleep well at night. Like that's the most important thing that I do with my clients is we're trying to set everything up so that at the end of the day, they are not concerned about what's going on inside their investments. It just is what it is. And they know I'm going to be getting this much money from here. All I have to do is control what I control, how much money is going out. Because how much is going in by the time you get to retirement is for the most part somewhat fixed. Unless you follow all these 9 steps when you're younger, you have a bunch of money later on, then you can kind of dabble it around and do what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so interesting how a person's upbringing can impact the rest of their life. Obviously, I mean, childhood is important, but like how you talk about how, you kind of have a scarcity mindset where, you prefer to not have any debt. You pay your credit cards off every month or every billing cycle, and that
It's
works
usually
for you.
usually like twice or 3 times a billing cycle.
Yeah, yeah, you're eliminating. You're not buying. You're not purchasing things that's going to take months and months and months to pay off, right? On credit card, that is. And I think it's just so interesting because like I listen to these things and I agree with them, right? I totally agree with like you should definitely pay off your credit cards. It's great for your credit score. It's great all around, right? It's not good to have high interest debt, right? That's number 3, high interest debt. Um, and then like I think about like how I am as a person and like how I was raised, and it's just like, yeah, debt, eh, eh. And I don't know where it came from because my dad hates debt, has some rental properties, um, pays it off. Everything's paid off, right? He's like, it's like the key is to get it all paid off. He's like, I don't want to owe anybody anything. And I'm like, yeah, that's your game. Play it, And I don't know if it's because I'm, 24, a little bit more risky, could be, I don't know. But no, my relationship with debt, it's like, it's just a tool. And I much more preferred the cash flow aspect of it. It's funny that we're talking about this cash flow. I actually recently joined a paid like Discord community of like wholesalers, and I'm like learning how like just like the whole business of like wholesaling real estate and just different things in that. And dude, it's exciting. It's kind of exciting. Real estate's like my second passion. So, but no, I just think it's interesting how much, our experiences as young people can affect us, right, for the rest of your life. Do you think that's something you can get over? Not necessarily get over, but shift in your mindset from going from scarcity to abundance? Because I know there's not like a number that you're gonna hit that to be like, oh, papa da boopy, like we're good now. Yeah. It's like no, that'll never happen.
I think it's funny. I think there's a lot of people that think like, oh, once I hit this magic number in my account, my feelings are all gonna go away. And I'll say it because I've said it 1,000 times. The number in your bank account is highly uncorrelated with the way you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, your investment accounts, all those are highly uncorrelated with with the way you feel. If you think I need $1 million to feel happy, the moment you hit $1 million, nothing changes.
You're still going to find something
the
wrong.
Same situation.
You're going to be sad. You're going to be worried that you're going to lose it. Now you go into super conservation mode. Conservation mode.
Not even $1 million isn't even that much money. Like in general terms, it's really not. So, can you shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset? Well, first off, I'd like to say that I think a lot of people, they shit on scarcity mindsets.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like, oh, you have a scarcity mindset. You're so stupid. Like that's so dumb. You need to have an abundance mindset. So I think that my scarcity mindset is a virtue. That doesn't mean that I don't think that it is wrong, but I do think that it is a virtue because for me, having debt, all these things, it's a bad thing. So I've never been the person ever to like run up credit card debt. Even when I went through my like phase of like spending all my money, I never put myself into debt. I was spending all my money, but I wasn't going beyond that, because in my mind, where some people was like, I'll just make more money. That was never even a thought. It was like, I only have this money. I'm going to spend all of it, but I only have this money. And when I have more money, I can spend all of that. But there are people with abundance mindsets who are the opposite. Like, oh, don't worry, I'll spend all this money, and I know in the future I'm going to make more money to spend that off. But they keep on doing this. And you know what Taoism is?
No, go for it. Explain it.
So there's Buddhism, there's Taoism, there's a bunch of different like Eastern philosophies of which I'll prescribe to. And I've talked a lot about in Buddhism, there's something called the middle way. So there's two extremes, right? There's scarcity and then there's abundance. Well, Taoism is trying to find the middle path. The whole religion, the whole thought process is that in all things in life, there are two extremes, and the middle way is the right way. So for me, as someone who is more scarcity, I need to try to push myself to being more abundance. But if someone is all abundance, they need to push themselves to being more scarcity. Yep. Neither one is right, neither one is wrong, but in either extreme, they're terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So for me, I believe that my scarcity mindset is a virtue because it always kept me safe. But that doesn't mean, but if I continue going through my life, never spending money, once I learned about financial independence, never spending money, just hoarding everything, then I would never be able to go out on the adventures that me and my wife have now that we look so forward to. Every month or 2 months, we're going on amazing vacations that people basically will work their whole year to be able to go on one vacation.
Yeah. You see it on TV and yeah, absolutely. Like, what's the next trip up? You said
we're going to Tulum. We're going to Tulum next week for a week.
Something with a T.
Yeah. Gosh, we're going there for a week. That's going to be at, that's a pretty cool, it's a small boutique hotel. They only have 20 rooms and they have a maximum of 40 guests. I don't think kids are allowed at this hotel. It's super cool. Like they know your name by the time you go there. Like everything is done for you. Mm-hmm. It's called La Valise. So I'll give them a free shout out because they're awesome. La Valise in Tulum.
Yeah. Was that the hotel you were telling me about? How you're like, yeah, we wanted to go into the city and we just didn't have a car. And then like the next morning they show up, they're like, we have a car for you. Was that the one? Yep. That's so sick. That's so cool. I love that. It's nice to feel important, honestly.
It does. Yeah, it does. It makes me feel like, oh, this is how the other side lives. Cool.
Yeah. I feel like the president right now. This is good. The non-convicted one. But anyway.
But that's kind of the thing, right? Is had I always been in a scarcity mindset and never wanted to change, I would never go on those trips. But I have had to really shift my shifting to try to come more to the middle. Now, my wife, on the other hand, she's the opposite. She's full abundance of like, I can make more money. Who cares? Like, run it up on the credit card. I'll make more money in the future. And I'm on the other side. So luckily together, we balance each other out quite well.
Yeah.
I don't truly believe that opposites attract, but opposites or two extremes can often try to find the middle together, given that you can approach these subjects with a level of understanding and like actual communication.
Absolutely. I think opposites work so well together in some regards, right?
They can.
They can. I know I mentioned a little bit of politics earlier, and I'm going to mention it right now again. Left and right oftentimes don't work very well together. But in this specific scenario, when you have one person who is abundant, one person who is scarcity, perfect. It's perfect.
Well, think about it this way, and I know we're not a very political podcast, but if someone tells me that, oh, I don't believe in abortions, I know which side you fall on, right? Automatically, I know which side you fall on. Now, that same person should be able to have a different thought on gun control, but often they don't. So if you're falling fully to the right, or if you're falling fully to the left, you're wrong. You should not fall 100%. If I'm giving my identity over to like I'm right or I'm left, so I think this one way on every single matter, then you're not in control of your life. You're just giving it up to somebody else. Every opinion should be completely moderated based off your personal beliefs and what's going on. That's why I always say, like, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat. I'll really go either way. I'm bi. I'll do whatever needs to be done. It's just, I'll flip it. Like, there are some things like gun control where I'm like, yeah, I'm pro-gun. Do whatever you want with it. I don't really care on that. But then there's other things like, oh, marijuana, where do you fall on that? I'm super libertarian. Just do whatever you want with that. I don't care.
Yeah.
Doesn't affect my life. I don't think you should ever say like, oh, this is the way. There's only one way of doing things. There's a middle path, left and right, either extreme. If you're far right, you're too extreme. If you're far left, you're too extreme. There's a middle path. Yeah. Find that middle path for you.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, yeah. What were we talking about? Finance?
Yeah, we
Finance?
talk about finances. Yeah, I don't
Is it a
know.
finance podcast? Yeah. Just a super quick recap over the 9 different, I guess, steps or pathways
Yeah,
that we
steps.
talked about on Monday, just so I can get a full recap for the people listening. So number 1 was deductibles covered. Number 2 is employer match. That has to do with the 401k, correct?
401k, 403b, TSP, whatever your employer thing is, you want to at least get that match, whether that be 2%, 1%, 3%, 6%, whatever it is, get that match. Yeah.
And hopefully, if you work for a bigger company or a good employer, they have that match as a benefit to the, to the people.
Yeah, and
Number 3.
if someone maybe doesn't have a match or anything like that, you might choose to skip that step entirely because you don't have a match. So like, I'm not going to contribute. I'm going to rather focus on getting rid of the high interest credit card debt rather than saving for other things. But that's going to be dependent on you.
Yeah, absolutely. So 1, we got deductibles covered. 2, we got employer match. 3, we got kill the high interest debt. We're talking credit card debt. We're talking personal loans, possibly anything with above, what do you think, 15% interest?
I'd say anything over 10. Yeah.
Anything over
Because
10,
there could be
yeah.
a personal loan where you're at 10. The high interest debt thing it's really interesting because this is where I vary a lot from a lot of advisors too.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the employer match. Get the employer match at least. But a lot of advisors will still say, well, why take care of your high interest debt? You should be saving for your retirement. You should do the Roth. You should be doing all these things. But we talked about the rule of 72. So if you're contributing money into your Roth IRA and you're saying it's going to compound at 7% per year, and you say you have $7,000 in high interest debt, $7,000 in a Roth. If you just put those both in a line and you say like, let's play it out. $7,000 compounded at 7%, it goes 7 to 14 to 28 over the next 30 years. If you have $7,000 in a high interest credit card, and let's say your interest rate is at 25%, well, that means every like 2.5 years, it's going to double. So it's going to go 7, 2.5 years later, 14, 28, 56. By the time you reach the same level, like you're now, I don't know, $48,000 of your Roth is now eclipsed by this like $2 million credit card statement.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. It's like the hair on fire situation. You know, if your hair's on fire, you're not going to be like, hey, Chris, you want to go work out? Like, dude, you're literally burning at the stake. Like, put your hair out, get a ball cap, and yeah, then we can go work out. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. At least for the high interest though. It's only the high interest, and maybe 10, maybe 15. I don't know. I don't know what high interest is to you.
Because honestly,
it depends on what your returns are.
I had a friend.
What?
I was helping them look for a new car. Sorry, a used car. All the interest rates were, and great credit score, the highest credit score, right? Couldn't find anything under like 12%.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And at that point, like for me, that's a high interest, and I get rid of that. But right now, there's like a really big discussion to mortgages because mortgages right now are at 7%. Is that considered high interest? If the market usually returns 7 to 9, where do I play this game? Should I be playing off the mortgage or should I be investing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's where the personal finance comes into it. For me personally, where I think about that is at some point interest rates will lower, and you can always refinance on a home and lower that interest rate. So I still think invest over paying off the mortgage aggressively, but it really is different strokes for different folks on that. And that's where having a good advisor could really come in to say like, here's option A, here's option B. Here's good with option A, here's what's bad with option A. Here's good with option A, here's bad with option B. Do what you will. I guide, you decide.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 4, emergency reserves, right? This is different from the crisis fund, right? We're talking about the emergency fund here, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they didn't even talk about a crisis fund. Crisis fund is something unique to Monzon Wealth. Okay. They do the deductible, and I'm not really sure. In the book, I think they did cover it, but I can't remember if they said the deductible and the deductible rolls into the emergency fund or not. For me, I think the crisis fund and the emergency fund roll into each other.
Okay.
But I'm not sure how they think about it for the money guys.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. We'll move on to number 5. Roth and HSA accounts, obviously great things to have if you can.
Yep.
Some people, they make too much money to qualify for a Roth. Some people, they've got their Roth and they have the was it the 401k that where
Mm-hmm.
they that we talked about last podcast, where it's like you can only invest 7,000 in your Roth, but you can't invest it in something else.
No, that was between two IRAs. You can't like put
Mm,
7,000 but in each IRA. But there are
ridiculous.
income limits for a Roth. So like maybe you're married filing separately, you can't contribute to a Roth. If you have a income of over, I think it's like 180,000 as an individual, you can't contribute to a Roth. Now there are ways if you have a financial advisor and maybe a tax person, you can do a backdoor Roth and you can still put money into a Roth account. But these are strategies that the average person isn't going to be doing just kind of willy nilly. Um,
Hmm.
because you could really put yourself into hot water with the IRS.
Hmm.
And then for the HSA, maxing those out, well, first off, you need to make sure you have a high deductible plan and be eligible for a high or a health savings account, because not everyone is eligible for a health savings account, and that's certainly something you need to look at too to say, is a health savings account right for me, depending on my medical history, what's going on for me right now. Like right now, my wife and I were working. We're going to start working on getting pregnant and having kids. The year that she's going to be pregnant and having the baby and everything, having a
Yeah.
health savings account probably is not going to be what we're going to do. We're going to go for a normal PPO because the deductibles are going to be too high.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Makes the most sense, no?
Mm-hmm. But again, that's a plan that we have in place. We put a plan in place for our individual circumstances. So someone saying all HSA good all the time, all Roth good all the time, you don't know that. It's not that. It's individual to
It's
your
never that
circumstances.
simple. Never that simple. It's just anybody telling you something is black and white on a personal side, it's usually not.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually not. There's no one size fits all. There's just not.
Nope.
So the next one, number 6, maxing out your retirement. Tell me
Yep.
about it.
So this is going to be all of your qualified funds, right? So anything that has a special like tax advantage. So if you max out your Roth, which is 7,000, you max out your HSA if you're eligible for that. That's another, I think it's like 35, 770, something like that. But let's say that's $10,000 in between those two. Now for your 401k, you can contribute up to 23,500, I think it is for 2024. Now some people might hear that and be like, Chris, you want me to save $30,000 a year? I only make $60,000. Like I can't do anything else until
Yeah, I
I
gotta live off
until I
like what, ice cubes for the next 12
yeah.
months? Bro, I need
Like,
protein. I'm trying to get ready for the summer. Like, come on,
yeah.
Chris.
So I thought that was crazy too. I'm like, you want them to do that? Now, if someone's making $300,000, like maxing out all of those, that's 10% of their income. That's really not that big of a deal. So the money guys thought this through and they said 25% of your income should be your max that you're contributing to your qualified accounts. After that, you can choose to move on to step number 7, or you can choose to continue to raise that up to 30%, 35%, whatever it is for you. But that's going to be individual circumstances, because what you don't want to do is end up in a situation where you have $6 million in qualified funds and you're 50 years old and you're like, I don't have any other money that I can get to for the next 9.5 years.
Yeah. Being that, obviously, those that don't know, at 59 and a half, you can take out the money from those qualified funds
Without any
and not have to,
penalties.
and yeah, without penalties, without taxes, stuff like that.
Well, there's
And
still taxes
there's still
depending on which
taxes.
account it is. If it's a traditional, there's still taxes. If it's a Roth, there's no taxes, but there are penalties before 59 and a half. So it's really important that we're looking at what's going to be right for us. Maybe if you're someone who's on the path to financial independence and your goal is to retire at 40,
Mhm.
it probably makes most sense, honestly, to contribute everything to a traditional IRA, knowing that when you hit 40, you could do Roth conversions. When your income goes from, whatever it is down to like nothing, we can do a bunch of Roth conversions. But that means that we also have to have money in a non-qualified account or just savings or whatever that's going to float us while we're doing these conversions. And again, this is high level stuff for like financial planners and stuff that I do with my clients. I'm not going to go over it in a pod because there's too much mechanically that you can do wrong. And if I
Mhm.
teach it the wrong way, I don't want to be held liable for it.
No, 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 no. It's so case by case too. It's like just because you hear Chris talk about backdoor Roth, it's like, oh, I should be doing that. Chris said it. It's like, no, 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 no. Chris is talking to the masses. Chris is talking about options. He's not talking about your options, right? It's different
Mm-hmm.
for everybody. That's why it's called personal finance, not general finance, right?
Yep.
So number 7, hyper accumulation.
Yep.
What are we
And that
talking?
one's a weird one, right? Most people
Yeah.
are like, what does that even mean? And the way I took that is, just like I said before, you don't want to be maxing out all your retirement accounts if there's nothing else getting left over for money that you can use right now.
Yeah.
So hyperaccumulation is putting additional money into your non-qualified accounts. And non-qualified, for those who don't know, just means that you've got taxed on it. So you've got your money in your paycheck, it's already been taxed. You're going to put your money into this non-qualified account. As the money grows, as you get dividends, as you sell, as you buy, you're paying taxes on those. You can also do tax losses if you take losses, but ideally, like we're not trying to take losses. We're not buying it. We're not trading a bunch inside these accounts. We really shouldn't be if we're trying to do good sound principles. So many people, they always talk about like, oh well, I have this great strategy where I do all this tax loss harvesting. And it's like, okay, that's great that you're doing that, and you certainly should. But why are you selling so many things at such a loss?
Like, the goal is to make money. We know this, right?
Yeah, the goal is to make money. And like, I'm glad that you're doing your tax loss harvesting for $3,000 a year, but why are you having so much losses every year? Like, I think
it's a lot of money. Like that could go, like, for me, that's food for the entire year. I know that might sound crazy, but that's food for the entire year. 3,000.
And I think it's just funny. There's so many like sexy things, right? If someone says like, oh, tax loss harvesting, they're like, oh, I don't know what that means, but that sounds great. And then when I hear that, like, oh, I do a lot of tax loss harvesting, I hear, so you lose a lot of money constantly.
Yeah, I'll be writing off my stock work all the time. It's like,
yeah, like I'm trading options. I'm not doing very well, so I do a lot of tax loss harvesting. And it's like,
it's a high level move. You wouldn't understand. You're junior. You don't know about this. This is the next level. You'll get there someday. Like, yeah, sir, you're losing thousands of dollars.
Yeah, so with the hyperaccumulation, we're just putting things into a non-qualified account. We're just letting it grow. We're doing whatever it is with it. But this is money that we can pull out right now if we need it. Stock market's up, stock market's down. I'm 40, I'm 20, I'm 60. I can pull out this money. It's going to be treated exact same at whatever age.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Number 8, prepaid future expenses. College tuition, a big trip, stuff like that. Am I missing anything?
I would think so. I think it's going to be like saving up. You know, should I start saving up for my kids' inevitable? I want to give them a big retirement gift. I want to give them a big wedding gift. Can I start saving this money aside? Maybe you have another hyperaccumulation account. So maybe you don't want to just keep this money, because if you're thinking about prepaying for things, I don't know. I don't want to prepay for my kid's wedding. Like, I don't want to be like, I'm going to put a down payment on a venue or something like that for my kid right now for the future. But what I could do is I can start putting money into an investment account for them that's saying like, hey, when they retire, they're going to get, or when they marry, I'm going to give them this entire account.
When they retire, I'll be dead.
I'll be dead, hopefully.
Hopefully not.
But there's other things. Maybe it's a 529 account for your kid. Yeah. Like, that is an investment that you can go ahead and create. But again, we should wait to start preparing for our kids' financial future until we've at least taken care of ourselves. And that doesn't mean that we're maxing out all of our 401ks. It could just mean that we're accumulating 25% of the 401k and then we want to just do 5% into our hyperaccumulation. You don't even need to do the hyperaccumulation. Again, all of these steps are removable and movable. You can take them out entirely. You can say, I maxed out my retirement. I know that I want to work till age 60. Like, I know this. I don't think anyone could really know that for sure, because tomorrow you might wake up and change. But maybe you say, like, Chris, I know I'm going to work till 60. I don't want to hyperaccumulate. I don't want to retire early. I don't want extra money. I just really want to take care of my kids' college tuition. Cool. Go ahead and skip step 7. Go straight to step 8 and do the prepare for future taxes, or prepare for their retirement or their college, whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Number 9, low interest debt.
Yep.
How do you feel about this one? Do you think this one's pointless?
We already talked about it, I think, at the beginning. So I would say listen to the beginning of the podcast if you didn't hear that. But I think it's important. I mean, especially if you're thinking about this and you're trying to generalize it to the masses. Mm-hmm. The normal person that gets to step 8 or step 9 are going to be closer to retirement. And if you're getting closer to retirement, my guess is you're going to want to have all those monkeys off your back. Every single leech is gone. Even if it's a little leech and you don't have much of a marathon left to run. If I get that leech off, I might be able to run a longer marathon, or a marathon with less stress.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So overall, when it comes to this 9-step, I really enjoy it. There are parts of this that I'm going to steal, and I'm going to contribute in, and I'm going to bring it into Mons on Wealth. Luckily, like, their thing and my thing was already pretty much unanimous. The one thing that is very, very different is the deductible versus my $1,000 crisis fund. I really like the deductible. I might say it's a crisis fund and the crisis fund is held in cash based off your highest deductible. So I just might straight up steal that, but still call it a crisis fund rather than a deductible covered. Other than that, like I kind of think about like the step 6 and step 7 of max out the retirements versus hyper accumulation. I think 25% to qualified funds might be a little high. I might think like 20%. So again, that's going to be individual and all varied. Mm-hmm. Again, they're making a 9-step process to go out to the masses. When I work with clients on Mons on Wealth, it is individualized, so we can really go tailored. And I'm not making recommendations like that to the masses like we do on the Fi Guys. I don't make those recommendations because I really try to stay away from making specific recommendations to the masses.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that basically wraps up the 9 steps.
Yeah, I think so. Overall, again, remember, this is a financial plan. This is not the financial plan, and this is not your financial plan. You might listen to these 9 steps and be like, I disagree. I think step 3 should be where step 1 is. Step 1 should be where step 5 is. Step 5 should be off of it.
Yeah.
You can say that, and that's totally fine. As long as you come into it with intention and an actual freaking plan, I'm good with it. But if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Having this 9-step, even if it isn't ideal for you, at least it is a plan. And you can figure it out along the way to say, I got to step 4, and I don't think I should focus on this. I should focus on step 5. Totally cool. As long as you have a plan in place, stick to your plan. I'm happy with it either way.
Absolutely. With that being said, it is a Fi Friday feedback viewer mailbag time. Let's get right into it. This week, we have a letter from one of our viewers. Is this investment too good to be true? My mom bought an annuity, and I'm a bit confused.
Okay.
Jinkies. These are complex things, aren't they, Chris? Annuities.
Annuities are extremely complex insurance products. Let me say that for again. Annuities are extremely complex insurance products. They have investment components to them, but annuities are first and foremost an insurance product.
And with that disclaimer out of the way, let's get right into it. Howdy, Fi Guys. I'm reaching out for some insights and advice on a financial decision my mom made recently, and I would love to get your thoughts on it. Here's a bit of context. My mom's 73 years old, that is, and she has been very cautious with her finances. She's a retired school teacher. Congratulations, that's awesome. Who spent her entire career diligently saving and living within her means. Recently, she decided to invest a significant portion of her savings into an annuity. This was a big decision for her, and she took this step after consulting with a broker, I think. The annuity she invested in has some features that sound almost too good to be true, and that's where the concerns come in. Here we go. To give an idea, her product, keyword product, her product provided an immediate 25% bonus. That's pretty good. I like that. I wonder, do you think the bonus is paid straight to her or just into the fund?
It's definitely not paid straight to her. I'll talk about that.
Damn, I was like, man, if I invest 100,000, I can get a quick 25 grand, and they get the. Anyway,
I have not read this yet, but I have an idea of where it's going, so I have a lot to think about this.
All right, let's continue. Let's see. To give an idea, her product gives her an immediate 25% bonus on her initial deposit. On top of that, her investment grows at a rate of the market 2.5x, essentially. If the market goes up 4%, her investment grows by 10%.
Okay, so just to clarify that, based off what the person told her mom, whatever the market does, the annuity will multiply that by 2.5 times. So the market goes up 5%, she's going to get 12.5. Mm-hmm. Market goes up 10%, she's going to get 25%.
Sounds very leveraged.
That is how the person maybe sold it to her, and that is what the mom understands. Mm-hmm. The product is doing. Let's continue to hear if that's true, though.
Okay. The safety net here is that if the market performs poorly or goes down to negative, her investment doesn't lose value, but instead earns 0% for that period. It sounds like a fantastic deal, but as someone who's a bit skeptical by nature, I'm worried that there might be some hidden fees or catches that aren't immediately apparent. over the past decade, we've seen some incredible performance in the market with increases of 25 to 30%. Happens when you go into a world pandemic. Um, this makes me wonder.
It happens when there's quantitative easing to the level that we've never seen before. It had nothing to do with the pandemic. It had to do with quantitative easing.
I mean, they printed hella money because of the pandemic, though.
I guess that's true. Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I gotta find myself a win in there somewhere. Okay, so this makes me wonder, how is this such a generous return structure? How this generous return structure is sustainable without some significant trade-offs? Next week,
I'm gonna cut you off real quick.
Lock in.
So one thing I think people think about with annuities and all investments is they're like, oh well, especially with these annuities when they get sold, they're like, well, this person like wants to help me. It's an insurance company. Their goal is to make money.
Yeah.
Like there is nothing, like they're not giving you free money. They're not going to lose money on a product. They might lose money on a little bit of a product, but they have the law of large numbers to know that as some people phase out, some people are going to phase in.
Yeah.
Insurance is to make you whole, not to make you rich. Continue.
You know, it's interesting. When you think of like a good little business that they're looking out for you, I think of like a little grandma bakery, right? You go into the bakery. I forgot my wallet. Oh, have the muffin on the house, honey. It's fine. These insurance people, they're like sharks. They are only in it to make money. I mean, everybody here probably has been in a car accident, fender bender or whatever. Try getting them to give you some money. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. My dentist had an easier time pulling a tooth. Genuinely. So, getting back to the story, next week I'm scheduled to meet with her broker to get a clear understanding of how this entire process works. I'm also worried because the broker is likely to pitch me the same product. As a 38-year-old male, I assume, I need to be sure.
It's a female. I've already reached out to her. It's a female. Yeah.
Okay, it's a female. Okay. As a 38-year-old female, I need to be sure that this is a wise investment for my age and my financial goals. What I really need is your advice on specific questions I should be asking to the broker specifically. Are there any particular red flags or fine print I should be on the lookout for? And do you have any experience with this type of annuity? I want to make sure I'm fully informed and prepared before making any decisions. Thank you in advance. From Market Gains Double or Hidden Fees Trouble, should I invest with cheer or is this something to fear? I like that. That's a nice one. I like that. So we got a lot to talk about on this one.
We really do. This one might take a while. Okay, Dominic, first off, when you hear about this annuity, what do you think? Like, as someone who doesn't really know annuities super well, like when you hear that, you're like, all right, what do you think about that?
You know, it's like a pendulum, right? So on one hand, you hear the 2.5% market X return, right? You hear the 25% bonus. I'm getting excited. I'm getting giddy. You know, it's like a first date, right? I'm getting amped, right? On the other hand, I've heard the nightmares about a first date, right? Where there's good, there can be bad. When someone promises me the moon, what are we talking here, right? So what I'm more worried about is like, what, exactly like this viewer, what don't I know? I'm afraid of what I don't know right now, especially stepping into an arena like her and her mother, they're just unfamiliar with. So it's definitely, I'm feeling a little bit more fear than excitement right now. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
And, you know, I like that you said that you feel more fear than excitement. I think there's a lot of people, though this is the way that I look at it, this is the way that I explain to my clients, because I've sold annuities before in the past, and I still do it every so often. But the way that I tell my client is, if we're going to do an annuity, it's either a hell yes or it's a no.
Yeah.
Listen to your gut there. If there is something that's fear, if you don't understand something 100%, get the hell out. And with that, I want to tell a quick little story. So, perfect. Dominic, you know this person's name, so we're not gonna mention it on the podcast at all. But yeah, when I first left my old firm and I decided to go out on my own, and this was before I even created Monzon Wealth. This was like me out on my own as an independent advisor. I worked with an estate planner, and this estate planner, she would go ahead and bring people in and charge them a very low amount for a trust to get done in Arizona. And here in Arizona, you actually don't need to be an attorney in order to make trusts. You only need to be a certified document preparer. And that's like a 4-hour class. So really anyone can do it, given that you're willing to pay for the certification and pay for the software. So the way that this person would make money is they would sell a cheap trust, and then once they had all of your records, all of your financial statements, they would tell you that your finances are a mess, and that what you should do is buy an annuity from them. I wanted to pose that this estate planner was acting as a fiduciary when they were doing the trust. But the moment that they were done with the trust and they started selling them quote unquote investments, which were insurance products that were annuities, they were no longer acting as a fiduciary. Even though they would make the claim that they're a fiduciary, because they were acting as a fiduciary as your estate planner, but not as a fiduciary as the broker. Now, I don't know, to our listener, if this broker is acting as a fiduciary or not. I don't really like to speak negatively on people, but I do know from firsthand experience that there are people in this world that will sell annuities to people that should not have it at all. And I have seen, unfortunately, people who have spent their entire lives to save up money to retire to be taken or bamboozled by someone who did not have their interest at heart and then took them down a wrong path that wrecked their entire retirement. So the reason I say this is, if you have any fear, if you do not understand the product and it is not a hell yes to this annuity or to this insurance product, then it should be a no.
Yeah.
If the person can't explain it to you, it should be a no. I will tell this person, and I already have, because I reached out to them. I saw this come through and I knew we had to put it on the podcast, and I've already reached out to them because they already had their meeting. I will tell them I'll tell you guys exactly what to ask if you find yourself at the side of the situation. But first, I want to explain what's going on with this annuity, because this is really, really important for people to understand.
Okay.
So the first thing is, our writer says that as far as she knows, there are no fees. And while the annuity may not have explicit fees, all annuities do have implicit fees. So the way that insurance companies make money is the spread between their investment income and their hedge budgets. So you are getting fees charged within the annuity. Every month, every year, whatever it is, it's getting charged. It's going to be taken out of your growth. So you are definitely getting charged a fee. Also, that broker probably got a 7 to 10% commission right up front for selling you this product. And commissions aren't bad. I don't think commissions are always bad because they're putting in work. Things are all good. But if you have investment option A, which could be invested in the market, and if you're a broker and you can't even manage money, but you can call yourself a financial advisor because you can sell an insurance product, or you can go to a fiduciary like myself or like thousands of other RIAs and say, hey, I have this annuity. Should I do this or should I do something else? The broker can only sell you the annuity.
Yeah.
They only have a hammer. And if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like nails. Versus an RIA or a fiduciary advisor who has the ability to manage your money. They can invest the money. They can look at an annuity if an annuity is right. They can look at a myriad of different other options. My license allows me, and other fiduciary licenses allow me to tell you, Dominic, I think the best investment for you is a donkey. Regardless of what it is, I could tell you to do whatever it is. That's how widespread my license is. I can do really whatever the heck I want to do. So that means I'm going to do what's in the best interest of you on the long term. But again, an RIA, they can say, okay, we can either do the annuity, we can do this, we can do that. There's so many different options. But the broker only has one option. It's the annuity. And they're going to push you that option really, really hard because they have the gains to make 7 to 10% commissions on that. And it continues to scale up. So it could go even higher, depending on how quote unquote good they are at selling. So I know this person said that their mom put a significant amount of money. So I don't know what significant means. Let's say it's $100,000. That means this broker was incentivized by either $7,000 or $10,000 to make this sale.
Yeah.
You can kind of see that there might be perverse incentives here, right? All right.
Feels kind of gross. It feels like I need to take a shower after that. Like, I don't want to, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not against commissions, right? Certain forms of commissions, that is. But something like that doesn't sit right with me.
Well, again, it just comes down to, are there other options that are posed? Mm-hmm. If there are other options outside of the annuity, like, hey, this is the annuity, you can do this, or you can do investments, you can do this. Here's the upside of the annuity. Here's the downside. Here's the upside of the investments. Here's the downside. Client says, I want the annuity. Cool. My hands are clean. I told you both options. We're going to go that direction. But if you don't have the other option, the only option you have is the annuity, then obviously this broker is going to be incentivized to sell that annuity. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, you should probably go get your money managed by some other person that I can't help you with. All right. So we've talked about that. There are going to be fees in there, and then there are perverse incentives. The next thing I want to talk about is the 25% bonus that you asked about. So in annuities, and this is going to be a little confusing, so please try to stick with me as best as you can.
Okay.
There are two numbers that are growing within that annuity. One is the face value. The other one is the income value. Okay. So two numbers Simple are growing, enough. Right? So when she put her, let's say $100,000 in, the face value, the amount of money that had her mom said, you know what, I regret what I did. I want to take this annuity away. And annuities are always for a distinct amount of time, whether that be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It depends on the annuity. Mm-hmm. So if the mom said on day one, hey, you know what? Or not after day one, actually, after day 30, because you have 30 days to quit it. But on day 31, she says, hey, I made a mistake. I need my money back. Okay, then that 25%, that didn't go to the face value. You're not getting that. And since you purchased this annuity, your surrender fee is going to be, if you cancel it on year one, usually somewhere like 20%. So out of the $100,000 that we gave you, we're going to give you back $80,000 for making that mistake. That 25% of that $100,000, so that $25,000 went over here to this bucket, the income bucket. So this income bucket only works if you decide to eventually turn this annuity on and annuitize it, meaning that you're going to use the annuity as a lifetime income stream. Annuities like this annuity that this person is talking about is not used for growth. It is used for an income stream in the future. Annuities, again, are insurance. Insurance doesn't make you rich, it makes you whole. The insurance that you are purchasing with an annuity is longevity risk, meaning that I'm going to outlive my money. So I want to buy an annuity that regardless if I die on day one of turning on the annuity or so either if I make it to if I turn on the annuity at age 65 and I only make it to 66, I got paid. If I go from 65 to 100, I'm getting paid the same amount every month or every year or every quarter. Does that make sense, Dominic?
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay, so that's very important to think about with annuities. That's what you're purchasing. So that 25% is not going to come to her in the form of a check. She's not going to get anything like that. That's going into her income balance. Well, I just thought of another thing that we need to talk about afterwards. Okay. So, is in my memory, did she say that anything about like the mom wanting to leave this to her or anything like this, or what this was for? No, she didn't
say anything about her leaving it.
Okay. I wonder what this would be about. Let me talk about that. So if this person was to pass away, because this mom is 70, and if she's buying an annuity now with a 25% bonus and all this stuff, unless she's going to turn on the income rider in like a year or so and have that continue to pay out for the rest of her life, this might be a good product. It might not be a good product. I don't know on the situation. But what I find is a lot of people who are in their 70s and their 80s start thinking more about legacy. And they're thinking about how can I leave my kids the best amount of money that I can in the most tax efficient way. And unfortunately, a lot of brokers will start to sell these because they say you get the 25% bonus that also goes to your kids. But again, there's the face amount and then there's the income amount. The face amount is what goes to your kids, not that 25%. That only goes to the income generating amount. So if she was planning on leaving this to her kid's only going to get whatever she's going to get from the annuity, which is the face amount, which is only going to be growing at whatever the specific index it is tracking is. With that, let's get into the index. She said that they had a 2.5 multiple on the market. So there is no 2 times multiple. It's called a cap or a participation rate. She has a participation rate of 250%, meaning if whatever index is tracking goes up 1%, she gets 2.5. 2%, she gets 5. What everyone thinks, and what you thought too, partially correctly because it makes intuitive sense, is the market means the S&P 500. For these annuities, the index that it is tracked to is not the S&P 500. They'll tell you get a 2.5 times on the market, but they're not telling you what market they're tracking. So all annuities have different indexes that you could base it off of. If there is one that has 2.5, I guarantee that it is not the S&P 500. I guarantee it is not the American stock market. What it probably is a vault controlled index that is going to have very little volatility and very little growth. So every year your mom might be able to get, if the index goes up 1 or 2%, great, she went up 2.5 or 5%. While the market might have gone up 20, 30, 40%. But it's okay because look on the bright side. If it goes down, she's going to get a 0. And that's where these become so scary, is that some people, she got sold something, probably thinking it was something completely different, that I'm going to get, oh, if the market goes up 30%, that means that I get 2.5 times 30%. That sounds amazing. But that's not the market that it's tied to. It's tied to a completely different index.
Yeah. That is. Oh, wow. That's not very transparent. I didn't know that.
So again, if it's not a hell yes for an annuity, then it is a no. If a financial advisor or a broker cannot answer all of your questions, you don't feel 100% good about this, hold off until you do. Keep on asking more questions. Keep on finding out. I'm not saying that annuities are all bad. I use annuities for my clients. I used one recently for a client. We do that all the time, but it's for the right situation. You really need to figure that out, what's right to you. So
and
thinking about that, go for it.
I don't want you to lose your train of thought, but in what situation would an annuity be the right move, right?
I'll tell you about a client of mine. So I had a client that we just did 2 annuities for at the beginning of the year. He retired recently. So he just retired a few months ago. And his investment account, when you apply the 4% rule, if I take 4% out for the rest of your life, he retired at 65. Mm-hmm. If he could look on the calendar, Chris, I plan on dying on this day at 82 years old. Then I'd be like, all right, perfect. We'll withdraw this amount of money. But he doesn't know that. I don't know what age he's going to die at. I have to assume he's going to live to 100, at least. So with his investment account, let's say it was $100,000. That means every year we could pull out 4%, $4,000. $4,000 is not enough for this person, enough for this person to live on.
No.
But I could maybe get an annuity where I can say, okay, John Smith, we get this annuity and we turn on the income when you retire or after a year or whatever the distinction was. Then instead of taking out 4%, we use your $100,000. The insurance company is going to guarantee you can take out $8,000, or they're going to guarantee you can take out $6,000 for the rest of your life. Here's the rub on that. If John Smith, my client, starts that annuity, he's going to start taking $6,000 or $8,000, depending on what the annuity is, depending on how good of a job I did on finding the right thing. Remember, it's still more money than he would have been taking out had he taken the $4,000 option, the safer option, or the riskier option. If John Smith dies 1 year later, where does that annuity go? It goes all back to the insurance company. They get to keep the remaining amount of money. But if John Smith, to that calculation, if he makes it to 82 years or 86 years old, 87, 88, 89, up to 150 years old, whatever amount of number, that insurance company has to continue to pay out that $6,000 every single year. And that is where it is effective. When we don't know, we're trying to protect against longevity risk, outliving your money. That's what an annuity is good for, outliving the money.
So, you know me, I'm a little bit of a creative thinker.
Go for it.
Let's say I walked into the casino, I hit the lottery, whatever. I come into 200,000, right? I got 200,000 cash. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you never hear about a 20-year-old getting an annuity. I don't think it's ever been done.
No, it does. Brokers do it all the time, and it's wrong.
Really? Okay. So if I could get, let's see. So his was 100,000. He had 100,000. He gets 8,000 every year. If I had 200,000, I get 16,000 every year. Why wouldn't I? Why?
No, that's not how that works.
Not how that works. Okay.
That is a really good question, though, Dominic.
Okay.
I know the way you're thinking is because you're like, okay, well, if he's getting $6,000, then I should be able to get $6,000. The reason that client's getting $6,000 is because that client is 65 years old. All annuities and their income base is based off of an actuary table based off when you are statistically likely to die. So most annuities also have a somewhat of like a health screening. Do you smoke? What's your weight? What's your age? Stuff like that, because they need to have a rough estimate as to when you should die. So you, Dominic, with this same exact situation at, I don't know, how old are you, 20 something?
24.
At 20 something,
Yeah.
if you went ahead and you kept the annuity, you said, I want to turn on the income stream, I put my $100,000, cool. Every year we're going to give you $200.
What a scam. All right. Well, worth a shot. Worth a shot. I had to at least ask, because logically it made sense. But again, it's like that one thing that our viewer was talking about. It's what don't I know? What are the questions that I need to ask? Thank you for answering that one.
And that's important. Unfortunately, the people that get sold annuities that are in our age group, 21, 20, 30s, young millennials like us, people that are geared for this podcast, they're the people that are getting into this. And that's what scared me. That's the reason I actually reached out to this viewer, because they said they're meeting with this person, because they're 38 years old. This annuity is an income-based annuity based off the things that I know about it. And I don't know which annuity it is. I don't know what carrier it is. There are a myriad of different carriers, myriad of different products, thousands of different ones. I have no idea which one it is, but based off of that bonus and then the 2.5 multiplier, I knew that it was an income. I know that from experience. So I had to tell this person, like, this probably isn't right for you, because they can get a much better return minus the fees if you just invest in the S&P 500.
Yeah.
Invest in an index. So let me go ahead and talk about the questions that I told this person to ask the broker.
Please.
And please, if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm in this situation, write these questions down. And if you don't feel 100%, if it is not a hell yes, then it is a fucking no. So, sorry to get explicit. I get very upset because these people are the people that give my job a bad reputation. And they're also the people that have screwed over too many people that I have seen in my life who I've tried to help after the fact, after meeting this type of person. So, first question is, we want to go over fees and expenses. So questions to ask on this is, what are the total fees associated with this annuity? Are there any annual management fees, administrative fees, or mortality and expense or risk charges? How do these fees impact my overall return on my investments? Second thing, we want to ask about surrender charges. Surrender charges are very important because that says how long until we can take our annuity back. Because the insurance company is keeping that for a certain amount of time. You are pledging them, annuity company, whether that be Nationwide, Allianz, whatever. I'm going to give you $100,000 for the next 10 years. For those 10 years, I get the performance of the market, but I don't get that downside. After that, I can take all my money back, or I can roll it to another annuity. I have a bunch of different options. We can talk about that later on. Surrender charges. Are there any surrender charges associated with cashing out early? Typically there are. You should know them. You should know what the table is. Number two, what surrender charge schedule is and how long does it last? With most annuities, say you have a 20% surrender charge if you pull out and you have a 10-year annuity. On year one, it's 20%. If you take it out, you put $100,000 in, you'll get $8,000 back. On year two, it's 18. Year three, 16, and it goes down to year 9. If you pull out, you lose 2%. So you need to know that before you go into it, because if you're going to pledge your money that a 73-year-old may very well need in the next 10 years, depending on how the structure is, could really screw her over. The fact that it's a 25% tells me that it's probably either a 10 or a 12 year. A 25% bonus tells me it's a 10 or a 12-year annuity. Mm-hmm. Just off my anecdotal experience. That's an anecdote. You could probably find a product that's different. I'm just telling you that's probably a 10 or a 12.
Gotcha.
Next thing we need to know is rate, cap, and spread. So is there a cap rate? Meaning if the index goes up 7%, is there a cap as to what I can get? So the cap rate would be like, if we're doing the S&P 500, we're going to cap you at 3% or 4% or 5%. And they don't tell you that kind of stuff. So if you're thinking, oh, the market went up 30%, that's awesome. Well, guess what? You're capped at 7, so you went up 7. But if the market goes down 0, you stay at 0. That's where the nice part of the annuities are. But they do have a cap on them, so you need to know that. Is there a maximum amount of money my mom could be given in a year? Number 2, is there a participation rate that might be limiting how much market returns are credited to me annually? Sometimes you can get participation rates that are low too. It's the same thing as a cap rate, but it's calculated differently than a percentage. Mm-hmm. And then, is there any spreads? So is there a percentage that's deducted from my index return? There's could be a cap rate, a cap rate, a participation rate, or a spread. And each index inside that annuity could have a different one of those three. And I understand, I'm so sorry that it is complicated. These are extremely complex subjects, but that is why you need someone in your corner that you trust. And like I said, if it is not a hell yes, then it is a no. Number 4, you need to get bonuses on this details. So I asked the person to ask this: is my 25% bonus fully vested immediately, or does it invest over time? And then are there any conditions to which I forego my bonus? Basically, what I was trying to get at is I wanted to see if this broker was going to tell them that you only get the bonus in this bucket, not in this bucket, and you only get this bonus if you stay in it for this amount of time. Because I guarantee it is that. It is not you get a 25% bonus. Here's $25,000 in a check.
Yeah. You can dream, as I was earlier.
The next thing you need to know is market performance calculation. So how exactly is the market performance calculated and credited to my annuity? What particular index or set of indexes is this annuity tracking? Because like we said, if you get a 2.5 times multiple on the S&P 500, that sounds really freaking nice. But I guarantee it is not that. And so you need to know which index in specific and what is the historical returns that this one does, because I need to know that. And then what happens on extremely volatile market years? What should I be able to expect with this? With those indexes too. Then there's some questions about guaranteed minimum risk. If I don't want to keep this going on indefinitely, but I asked her to continue to do guaranteed minimum risk. I asked her what are the payout options for the annuities. I gave her questions for tax implications. And then I also gave her questions about the company and the product of the reputation. Because what if the annuity company that you purchase your annuity through is not in good financial strength? What if you gave a financial company $100,000 thinking that, okay, it doesn't matter, like they're guaranteed, and they go bankrupt?
Yeah.
What happens to that $100,000? You need to make sure that you're working with a reputable company, because while they do have insurance coverage on the money that goes into these annuity companies and insurance companies, you don't want to go through the headache of your annuity company going bankrupt, because that's going to stop your income stream if that's the reason you're buying it for.
Yeah. And you're going to lose all your money.
Wow. And then how long has this particular annuity been in the markets for, and what are its performance histories? So you want to know that kind of stuff too. So there are a lot of questions you need to ask. You need to have 100% knowledge that you feel good about it. And I'm really big on like trusting your gut. And just like you felt at the beginning after you read this through, Dominic, and I said, how do you feel about it? You said, it sounds good, but something in my gut is telling me no. Yeah. After everything I told you, what do you think about this annuity now?
Dude, me personally, 25-year-old, I'm good. There's other vehicles I can go with that make me feel comfortable, that are a lot simpler.
I'm sure, Dominic, I know you know a lot about finance, but I know I'm also very good at being able to sell something if I have to.
Yeah.
And I know a lot more about finance than you do.
Yeah.
Could you see a world in which I was able to tell you 2.5 times all this stuff and you take that annuity and buy it from me?
Dude, I can think of a lot of people that would go for that. I can think of a lot of people. All you got to be is a charming salesman and present all the good stuff and and shelter the bad stuff.
It's scary, right? Like that's where trust comes in, and that's where, and like I'm sure you would probably, because you're a smart guy, you would feel there's some sort of a gut inkling of like, I don't know. But if I do a good enough job and you're in the right state of mind, you just might go for it and sign the paperwork, and then we're good to go. You know, and is anything that broker said a lie? No, they're telling the truth. You do get 25% bonus. You do get a 2.5 times on your multiple. You do get all of these things. They're not lying to you, but they're not telling you the full truth. And that's the really, really scary part, especially with finances. So if it's not a hell no, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. And if you really need help, please reach out to a fee-based or a fee-only fiduciary advisor to ask these questions to, because I always think it's important to go to someone who could sell you both an annuity or sell you managed money or sell you none of them. That's why I do everything that's fee-based. Even if I'm meeting with clients, I don't manage only annuities. If someone has an annuity, I'll give you some information, but you're not going to be my client. I'll tell you what to do, but you're not going to be my client. I'm going to send you off somewhere else. Because if I don't have your full financial picture, I can't make the best decisions. That's just the way it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a dude. That's a scary place to be in, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe it's for the best for the 73-year-old teacher.
Maybe she sold it for the right thing and everything.
Yeah.
But for the 38-year-old, based off what I know, it probably isn't right.
Yeah.
But only she can make that distinction. Hopefully she's going to ask the questions that I asked, and we're going to go from there. But again, if you're ever concerned, you don't know what to do and you don't know who to reach out to, I may not be your financial advisor, but I am willing to at least talk to you and give you these questions, or at least hear you out. And at this point in my life, I will not charge people for that. Like if they reach out and they're a member of the Fi Guys podcast, they say, hey, I heard from you from the Fi Guys, and they want to reach out for that stuff, I am willing to put myself out there to like help them walk through these things with them.
Yeah.
Because I've seen too many people get bamboozled out of their life savings or be put into a product that was not right for them because they did not have the full understanding as to what they were getting into or what the opportunity cost was had they done something else.
Yeah.
Because again, if all you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thankfully she said that she's very skeptical. She's a skeptical person. She's always been that. So hopefully she comes in with her skepticism up. And yeah,
I'm glad to. After I talked to her, and I think I don't think there's much of a chance she's going to buy it, especially after she asked those questions. My guess is that person's going to be like, okay, never mind, or is going to stammer through it and not know it.
Yeah. Oof. But yeah, if you guys want
and with that, big hugs from Arizona, and good luck. And I'm sorry, Don, I cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. I was going to say, if you guys have any other, letters or questions on stuff or situational things and you want to write into us, feel free to reach out to FiGuys.com, correct?
FiGuys.com, go to feedback, go to Fi Friday feedback, put it in there. And these videos or like these parts, they really run the gamut. Sometimes they're 10 minutes long. Sometimes they're like this one where they're 30 minutes long. So whatever the question you have, the more detail you give me, the better I can be. This listener was great because they put a lot of detail in their letter, and I only go off of the letter. I do not bring in the additional information if I do reach out and talk to them before, because for the most part, I do not reach out to these people outside of just the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for this one, I had to.
You kind of had to on this one. Yeah, you can't not reach out on this one. Yeah. That's crazy.
I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait a week and then they already meet with a person and be like, damn it, Chris, if only you told me a week ago. Yeah. So that's the reason I reached out, because it was imminent. And with that, I say we move on to win of the week.
Alrighty, let's do it. So this is where we talk about our wins of the week. Obviously, I love to recap the win of the week title. A little bit of a habit on the show. Would you like to go first? You go first, Chris. Yours is finance based. You go first.
We'll go with that. So my wife recently got the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and currently it has a 75,000 point bonus. So if you spent $4,000 in the first 4 months, you get 75,000 points, which if you redeem through the portal is like $900 worth of value. I don't redeem through the portal. I use transfer partners. If you're curious on that, go listen to our podcast all about how I do that. And I'm able to travel the world for basically free 6 times a year. But that 75,000 points is roughly worth $1,500 of value. So my wife, she got the card first. And then what she did was she referred me, her husband, got a 10,000 point bonus to herself, which is worth $300. And I, in the mail, just got my Chase Sapphire Preferred. Once I spend $4,000 on this bad boy, we get another $1,500 worth of value. So between both of us having this card, it has a $95 annual fee. We're going to spend $4,000 on the card, which we were already going to spend anyways. We're not going to go out and buy stuff we weren't already going to buy. We're going to buy groceries, put utility bills, whatever we need to on this credit card. Maybe even prepay taxes. I might prepay taxes on this. I don't know. But either way, once I do that and my wife does that, we are going to have $3,300 worth of value for 2 payments of $95 annual fees. I think that's a pretty damn good return on my investments. That's $200 for $3,300. That sounds pretty good to me.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah.
And we're planning on using this. We're planning on using these to go to, when we go to Kenya next year, we're planning on using these points to stay in Dubai for 2 days for free, which we weren't planning on. But since we have these, we're going to stay in Dubai in an IHG. And then we're also going to have leftover points that we want to use for an all-inclusive hotel in Mexico. That's called Playa del Carmen, which is supposed to be immaculate. So we're gonna go check it out and let you guys know if it is. That'll
Dude,
probably happen
that's
later next
exciting.
year.
God, that's so exciting. So you got a pretty good win of the week. I got a pretty good win of the week as well. Not as good, I will admit. Sometimes mine aren't as good, but I'm still living my best life. So I recently went on a journey of trying to self-improve, right? So about 287 days ago, I started working out consistently.
Oh wow, it's very specific.
Yeah, my friend and I, we have a challenge. I had trouble with consistency. Uh, so I messaged him. I'm like, how about this? How about whoever doesn't go to the gym, like misses a day or misses a few days, I'm like, there's going to be a punishment involved. We never decided the punishment. It was a blank check for punishment. So then after that, we just were like, yeah, no, we're going to be consistent. So then we did, and we've been consistent ever since. Ever since. So I've been on a journey of trying to improve myself and become a more well-rounded man, human, man, child, whatever. Um, and so this week on my pursuit of becoming better, I've been trying to take more care of my skin. I see a lot of men in my world, they neglect their health in some regards, or their health, they just care for themselves, right? And I just never wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be the guy who, cooks clean food, who goes to the gym, who looks strong, who has a good brain on him, right? Has nice skin. And this week, I ended up going to the store and I got some vitamin C serum to kind of help with some discoloration and just help with the wrinkles and everything. I also got some sunscreen. I know you might think, Dom, you probably use SPF 100 6 times a day. You're pasty as a
Do you even
wall.
go outside?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, it's like, no. I don't use sunscreen, and I'm this way because I don't go outside. But yeah, I've recently been going outside more, so I gotta put on some sunscreen, so that's pretty nice. So yeah, those have been two absolutely huge things in my life. Also, now that I've dipped my toe into the I don't know what you call it, the beauty space, dude. I was at Walmart and I saw the vitamin C serum and I put it in my cart. I was like, damn, $27? It's kind of pricey. I'm like, whatever. This is the price of beauty, whatever. I went to the checkout and I was like, oh, I forgot one more thing. I came back and I saw, not even right next to it, this was like down the entire aisle, another vitamin C serum, $4.84.
Nice. Yeah, there you go. Did you
Of course.
put it back and get that one?
Of course.
There you
Come
go.
on.
Got
What
the
are we
store
doing?
brand.
Yeah, of course. I was
Get
like,
that store brand, son.
yeah, I was like, you ain't gonna play me like that. You ain't gonna play me like that. So I went from basically, if I got the $27 one, using it scarcely, to now that I got the $4 one, I'm like, bro, I'm lathering it up and everything. So yeah, I'm just trying to take care of my skin so I can look as young as I can for as long as I can, because
It's,
us white people, we age like milk. So I gotta
that's
lock
really good.
in
I need to be better. I really want to be better about that kind of stuff and like not looking good. For me, I was funny. I was talking to my wife about this. I've always had the goal of, I don't care if I look old. I just don't want to feel old. So my goal has always been like focus on my health.
Mhm.
Like I don't care if I'm 60 and I look like I'm 80, but I'm like walking around and doing stuff. And I'm walking around like doing good and like still able to squat and do all this stuff. I don't care how I look. I always want to feel good. That's
Yeah.
the most important thing to me.
No, absolutely. 100%, 100%. I looked at a photo of myself a year ago. Not 5 years ago, a year ago. Totally different person. Totally different person. So I'm like, damn, okay, I need to lock in. And so I was like, I gotta get the bags under the hair, gotta get I just wanna look good for as long as I can. And with that being said, tomorrow, Saturday, I'll be getting a haircut. Much needed. Much needed. I know I've been delaying it for I don't know, 3 months. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna try a new haircut. I'm probably not gonna do the curly hair anymore. Maybe slick back, maybe Patrick Bateman style, or Bruce Wayne style. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that is basically my main win of the week. The other win of the week is we hit a new PR on the leg press machine. 14 45-pound plates for 630 pounds. So that was fun. That was fun. Because my friend challenged me to do 445, 10 plates.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that. This is at the end of the workout. I was like, oh, that's not too bad. And then this time around, I did the 630 at the end of my workout. I think I could go for 20 plates. I think I can go. I don't know
Nice.
what that is. It's like 900 something. I think I could run it. I think I could have it.
We're gonna go to the gym together, and I want to see your form on that.
It's not squats. Okay, it's not squats.
I understand that. I understand that, but still, with the leg press machine, there is form that people do wrong, and I'm curious to see if you're going deep enough.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll see. Chris can be my witness to my.
I'll be your witness, and then next week I'll be like, "It was bullshit. It was all a lie."
He's a goddamn liar, man. His form was absolute crap. Yeah, we'll have to see. But
you're like that. You're like that guy that like loads the whole bench press up and like sits below it and like unracks it and then puts it back down. You're like, did it, done.
That's really funny, dude. So yeah, we'll report on that next week maybe. But yeah,
all right.
Those are my win of the week, so I'm happy with those. So yeah, there you go.
Good. and with that, I say we close out Five Friday feedback, guys. If you stuck around this long and you haven't subscribed yet, like what are we doing here in the world?
Honestly.
Like, come on, subscribe. Please leave a comment if you want to be featured on Five Friday feedback. We do not use your names. The person who wrote in this week, their name is not whatever rhyme ChatGPT came up with. Like it is. Like we will keep you anonymous, and it's just a good way to get your questions answered for free from a financial advisor who actually gives a shit about you and wants to make sure that you're taken care of, just like I did with this one. So again, and it's good for us to create more content, and it's good that we get this word out, because I don't want people to get bamboozled. I don't want people to get screwed over by someone who doesn't have their best interests at heart. I would much rather play this long game and build up trust. That way I know that, like, hey, at least you're getting taken care of. That's the only thing that matters to me, really.
Yeah.
So please subscribe, like, leave a comment. Do all those good things. If you're on Spotify, please leave a comment on Spotify. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell the algorithm what's up so that we can keep on telling people. And then more importantly, tell someone that you know about the Fi Guys podcast. Bring them along this journey of financial independence. It's a pretty fun one when you go with a friend.
Alrighty, guys. Later. Peace.
Later. This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.